Hello, welcome to the Bring Your Worth show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. Thank you for your patience with some technical issues today. Let me go and connect with all y'all on Amazon Live. There we go. Welcome to the Bring Your Worth show. My name is Damon Brown. I am your host. I come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. If you like things that are connected to you being a side hustler, you being an entrepreneur, you creating things and being what I call a non-traditional entrepreneur. A non-traditional entrepreneur is someone who doesn't necessarily fit the blueprint of the folks I saw in Silicon Valley, which is very young, straight, white, usually of middle class or upper class background, who has all the support that they may need in their world. You're not that, right? In any of those categories, you don't quite mix. As you can tell by a lot of things, just by looking at me, I do not fit into a lot of those categories. And I was able to find success as an entrepreneur twice over with my first startup, So Quotable, which got the attention of TED, which led to my first TED Talk. And after that, Cuddler, which was the number one app in the world, 2014, 2015. You tell it's been a few years. 2014, 2015, which connected people for hugs. And we got 250,000 users and ended up getting acquired shortly, a little bit under a year of when we started, which I consider a good marker of success. Approaching 300 episodes of the Bring Your Worth show, almost every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the past 2 years. Next week, I'm thinking years. Next week will be the 2-year anniversary of the Bring Your Worth show. It started December 21st. So whatever day the equinox is, I believe it's 21st. I think it changes every year, but that started in the winter equinox. So thank you for all the love and support. A lot of y'all have come on board recently. You've gotten a couple 100,000 views just over the past month. So y'all are really coming through and giving the show a lot of love. I'm talking about how to be more productive without burning yourself out, how to build things. That was the part that I forgot. When I built my 2 startups, I was the primary caregiver of now my wife and I's 2 sons. When our eldest son was a baby, that's when So Quotable came out. And then when our eldest son was a toddler and our next son was about to come, he's about 2.5 years younger than our eldest son. That's when I had the success with Cuddler and was on the cover of the Wall Street Journal, all this crazy stuff, while I was literally changing diapers for 2 kids. And so thank you for all the love and support. I'm trying to give all that game to y'all. My new book is called Career Remix, Get the Gig You Want Based on the Skills You Got. I have a link on here somewhere, but if you're on Amazon, you can check out the link. And I also have the little logo over here. New book came out at the top of this year. Thank you for all the love and support. The audiobook, best audiobook I've ever done. I've done quite a few of them. Be sure and check it out. A lot of stuff going on, but here's the interesting tidbits before we get into the theme of this episode, which is passive income. Number one, Bring Your Worth shorts. I've been bringing this up a lot in the weekly live episodes that we do most every Wednesday. And it's been a lot of fun. There's about 200 shorts on there. If you go to youtube.com/BrownDamon, which is where this show is based, that's where the Bring Your Worth show has been headquartered over the last almost 2 years. Shorts are basically things that are a little bit less than 60 seconds or less. That's what I'm trying to say. And in my case, the shorts are talking about the things that we're talking about today. Talking about passive income. We're talking about negotiating your contracts right so you can own your IP. Talking about building more and worrying about things less. Talking about balancing or trying to find balance if you're the primary caregiver of your kids or any other dependents, older people, whatever, that are depending on you and still showing up. Having your day job, which I've had my share, and then still finding your side hustles and then being able to switch. So ideally those side hustles one day, hopefully soon, become the main way that you make a living, if that's the direction you want to go in. These shorts are talking about that, but in 60 seconds. And you got wisdom on there from Seth Godin, almost said Seth Rogen, very different wisdom. Seth Godin to Oprah, to Jay-Z, which y'all seem to be a big fan of based on the videos I've done recently about his wisdom, to Mike Tyson, believe it or not, to Kevin Hart. The list goes on. Jim Rohn, if you know your old school speakers, yeah, personal favorite of mine. All these shorts are under 60 seconds. They give you as much wisdom as possible in this short period of time. I love having the longer shows. My regular show is usually 10 to 15 minutes long, as you'll see with, again, 300 episodes that we're approaching. If you go to youtube.com/BrownDame, you'll see all those long form episodes, which you'll hopefully enjoy. But you also see this very short content. It is formatted for your phone. But if you go to my website, again, at youtube.com/BrownDamon, the home site of the Bring Your Worth show at this point, then you actually will see some of the shorts are formatted for the big screen. So they're the entire screen. Try to get the center of the screen here. Entire screen. The whole thing. We'll call it that. And it's been fun not only having the shorts, if you call them that, which fit on your little phone. I got a little iPhone here, but also the long form shorts, if you go on that, or the big shorts. I call them 4K shorts, which are perfect for you watching on your TV, watching on your laptop, that type of thing. Be sure and check it out. Again, a couple 100,000 of y'all have come through to check them out, as well as check out the long form programming. Thanks, love, and support to all of y'all, to the new audience that has been checking it out. If you're part of my old audience or my traditional audience who's been watching that long form content, like these Wednesday shows, hop over to the Shorts channel. You'll see what's happening there. Speaking of, there are so many shorts that I've done. Again, I think it's like 200, 250 this year. It's been a lot of this short content. And what I actually did was I have a special show coming up this Friday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time, normal time. That's the 22 most popular shorts of 2022. Very appropriate, right? And the whole episode, I think, is only about 5 minutes long, because if you maybe 10 minutes long, it's less than 10. Let's just say 7 minutes. It's cut in the middle, because you think about it, these are shorts. So they're anywhere from max 60 seconds all the way down to some of them are 5 to 10 seconds long. I kid you not. And they have such a powerful punch because in this case, they're short. All the favorite ones, all the ones that have been shared the most. Some of them have been viewed tens of thousands of times. I kid you not. So be sure and check it out. You don't want to miss this one. Feel free to go to the Shorts channel. But if you want to get the cream of the crop, be sure and check out the episode this Friday. If you're watching this in the future, hello from the past. And this link will always be active. So feel free to click on it, even if you're watching this after 2022, which, will be in about 2 weeks. So if you're watching after that into the future, be sure to enjoy it. And as some of y'all know, you can catch me in Decentraland, which is one of the metaverses. And I'm working with a UPS store. If you ship stuff like I do, I'm a publishing company. Career Remix is a partnership actually with Barnes & Noble. Shout out to them. But, oh my gosh, how many hands do I have? See for the coordination today. All these books, some of y'all made them bestsellers, or some of them are bestsellers based on y'all. Yeah, I got the backwards gene today. You know what I'm trying to say, including this one. This one. Thank you for making this one a bestseller. All these books are from my imprint, also called Bring Your Worth. And I've used the UPS store and lots of other folks to send these books over to you because, when you own your own publishing company / your own imprint, you're shipping your own stuff. And so the UPS store has been integral to my success. I'm actually working with them. I have a series of videos that you can catch. You can catch me in the metaverse now, Decentraland. Click on the link, shout out to Fast Company. They're doing a piece about it, and we're actually working with them as well. Check them out. You can go into the metaverse and then learn more about the metaverse. It's actually not that difficult to get into the metaverse as far as with Decentraland and visit that vast world. But if you click on this link, you'll go directly to where you need to be in the virtual UPS store in this virtual area. And Decentraland, a lot of the metaverses are free. This is free content for y'all. Again, I partner with them. It's kind of like a Bring Your Worth show for the UPS store. I think you'll enjoy it. So look forward to seeing you there. And if you come by, say hi. All right. So the main thing we're going to talk about today is, as I mentioned, there's some technical difficulties. Give me a second, because I realized that that some of my text is missing. So give me 1 second. We're gonna do it live. All right. If you get that joke, then you get a cookie. All right. Passive income for beginners, 2023. Number one, this applies to any year. So again, if you're watching this in the future and it's not 2023, rock with it. What I'm talking about is, in the journalism world, we call that evergreen content. This joint is evergreen. Keep rocking with it. Enjoy it. In fact, some of the books and things I'm going to recommend are actually a few years old. Doesn't matter. It applies. In fact, there's some really good stuff. In fact, there's many good books that I can think of that are fantastic that still apply to the stuff that we're trying to do today. This is the last planned Bring You Worth live of the year. Again, we're approaching the end of the year. I'm actually going to be traveling or not available, not necessarily traveling, but not available to do a live next week. And then the week after that, it's New Year's week. So I might come in for a live, but chances are extremely high that I'm not. Again, like I mentioned, I got little kids, I got family. I need to rest too, y'all, as y'all should too. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to do so. In your rest, though, as I mentioned in my newsletter at joindamon.me that's sent out this morning, in your rest, you can also do all the re's. You can reconsider, you can re-strategize, you can rebuild. As they say with $6 billion man, we can rebuild him stronger. You have the opportunity as you rest, as you contemplate, as you reflect on the past year and where your career is going, where your business is going, where it's not going, you have the opportunity to create something new. This is the last of a trifecta of live shows that I've done at the end of this year. The first one that I actually did was how to make more profit in 2023. The second one I did is how to start your new business in 2023. And it's the last one, how to build passive income in 2023. You can actually start all these right now. If you missed the replay, then you can click on the link right here. And it's all the Bring Your Worth lives that I've done over the past now 2 years. So it's about 54 different episodes. If you really want to do a deep dive, you can literally spend a weekend watching all the Bring Your Worth lives because they're each about a half an hour to an hour each. But if you click on the link right here, you'll see the one you're watching right now, very meta moment, as well as the two previous ones. Again, the one from 2 weeks ago, the live, that was on how to build more profit, and the live that was on how to build your business from here, your new idea, how to pursue it, so forth. This is the third. This is the last one for the year, the third of the trifecta, how to build passive income. Okay, you're like, Damon, what is passive income? Passive income is you creating something once, building something once, doing something once, and then getting revenue from it well into the future. And it could be you getting revenue a couple times from it. It could be you getting revenue for the rest of your life. It could be you getting revenue from this one thing well after you're gone. And it goes to your friends, your family, your relatives, whomever is in your will. It could be something that goes forever, ever. Yeah, shout out to Andre 3000. Those could be any type of content or product that continues on. Service, if you're doing a service, it's a little bit harder because you actually have to physically be there often to do the service. Like for me, I'm a business coach. So my business coaching cannot necessarily be passive income in a traditional sense because I do one-on-one business coaching and I'm listening, I'm asking questions, and I'm responding to the things that you're saying. It's kind of hard to do, when you're not there. Now, there are methods to coach people, such as building a TV show where you're able to connect with a bunch of people, but do it in a way where you don't have to be on all the time. Passive income in its ideal form gets you away from trading time for money. It gets you away from trading time for money. Now, there's work that I do, even work that I do now, where I show up for a certain period of time and I'm paid for that period of time. I could be super productive or I could be sort of productive, but get the job done. I'm paid the same amount, right? You want to show up always at your best. Let's be clear. But you have your days. But your main thing is you're getting paid to show up in this particular capacity. Passive income ideally is the opposite of that. Passive income is I'm going to create something amazing, ideally amazing, do my best at creating something, and then people, organizations, so groups of people, so let's just say people, will find value of it well into the future. So that literally when I'm taking a nap, when I'm sleeping, when I'm playing with my kids, when I'm spending time with my partner, when I'm out on the road, when I'm traveling, which hopefully I can do some traveling over the holiday season, what have you, those checks are still coming in. I have about 52 or so passive income streams. Some of them are super tiny, like I'm literally talking pennies. And I'll get a little check and it'll be like 12 cents. Not exaggerating, right? I have other passive income streams that could be really big, like into the thousands of dollars, depending on that week, that month, whatever's trending at the time. So this isn't something that is going to be solid throughout in most cases, but it's something that you don't have to work extra at, or at least not much extra at, to have that revenue coming in. Now, obvious example would be the books that I talked about, like Career Remix. You know, every time y'all buy a copy of the book, I'm getting a royalty statement through Barnes and Noble. Shout out to them. Or a more direct passive income stream, if you want to call it that, is Built From Now, which is my book, previous book. This book, it's $30. So when y'all buy a copy of the book from Amazon, from Barnes and Noble, from Bookshop, shout out to them, they're all the indie bookstores, buy a copy from them, then Amazon or whomever will send me a check with my piece of it. Or if you go to damonbrown.net and you want a signed copy of it, you pay me directly $30. I pay for the overhead, ship you for free a copy of the book, and it's signed. That's passive income. I didn't have to track you down and say, hey, buy a copy of this book. Instead, it was like, I like what Damon's saying. I'm going to go buy a copy of the book. And I'm busy, again, let's say playing with my kids. And suddenly I get a notification saying, hey, so-and-so wants a copy of the book. And I'm like, great. The money's going to be transferred right now. And then I'm like, awesome. I'll send you a message and I'll say, hey, I'll send it to the UPS store or whomever. Go ahead and ship it out the next day. And you get it a couple days later. And hopefully you enjoy it. That's a form of passive income. I have to do a little bit of work, but I'm not getting paid by the hour. It is not trading time for money. I have very, very many videos, very, very many, a lot of videos. I told you I'm tongue-tied today. Many videos that are talking about this. I recommend after you watch this, check out the Start Passive Income Now playlist. I have a dozen videos that talk about this, from how Beyonce uses passive income, to how I've used passive income, to how you can negotiate your contracts in a certain way so that you can actually have more passive income. We're going to get into that actually with the books that we're going to talk about in a moment. But be sure and check it out if you have questions about passive income. I know a couple of weeks ago, shout out to Anna, folks that came onto the show that said, what is passive income? This episode was already planned. It's actually for you. So be sure and stay tuned. All right. So let's get into the books that will help you build your passive income. First thing you got to do, what the heck are you good at? More importantly, forget what you're good at. What do people find value in you doing? What do people find value in you doing? To understand that, you have to start with yourself. I like to talk. I love to listen. I love stories. So my career path as a journalist, as a public speaker, and more recently as a business coach and a TV host, where I'm talking to people, 3 times a week. Of course, it makes perfect sense. But that could go back to both my kids are in elementary school. That could go back, like my mom and my dad could have told me that many, many decades ago when I was their age, and could have said, oh, Damon could sit there and just listen to people all day. And he'll actually be listening to them. It's not like I just want to hear people talk. It's like, I want to hear your stories. And then he'll remember those stories. And then he'll get insight from them and then share it back to the people or apply it to his own life. Not everybody's built like that. That's natural to me. That is innate. That's like drinking water and breathing oxygen. Normal to me. Right? Normal to me. If you're not sure what you can build that could create passive income for you, or even create any type of income for you, you have to learn what your strength is and how that applies to how you can serve other people, right? The Strengthfinder 2.0, it's by Gallup, but it used to be a company called Strengthfinder back in the day. I guess I'm showing my age, but they were acquired by Gallup, I want to say about 2 decades ago, something like that. Fantastic place to start. There's actually another one called Entrepreneurial Strengthfinder. I can never say entrepreneurial, even though I've been an entrepreneur twice. I've coached hundreds of them. forgive me, Entrepreneur Strengthfinder, which is actually very good. This has a much more narrow focus. Strengthfinder 2.0 is way broader, and it might be a better place to start. But if you want to get into entrepreneurship, I recommend this one as well. You can find it on all the book outlets. All the book outlets. Leave it at that. All the book outlets, right? But you have to know what your particular strength is. I got into coaching because I was on the road supporting, I want to say, the original Bites as Entrepreneur, right? So the bestseller, you see by a little label up there. I was on the road supporting this, even overseas. I was down in Bogota. Shout out to Colombia. Hope you are doing better down there because it's been a little crazy. But I think I was down in Bogota. I was somewhere else. I think I was on the East Coast over in the Carolinas. Like I was all over the place for a good year or so supporting the Bites as Entrepreneur. And people kept asking me to go out for coffee and if we could talk. And I was confused. I'm not wearing my ring, but I'm married. So I was like, it's obvious I'm not trying to connect with people. But what they were trying to say was that they wanted to be coached. And that's how I learned I needed to get more into the coaching space, right? And it made perfect sense. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Right. So you know what's going on with the Strengthfinder. I know you know for sure, And so figuring out what exactly you're good at and what your strength is so important because then that gets applied. My strength is I love talking to people. I love hearing people. That gets applied into what people are asking for, right? I've had, again, a couple 100,000 of y'all come through to watch the BringYourWorth show. And I've been doing this for a couple years now, but now you're really starting to come through. That's a signal that I love doing this show. It's a lot of fun. I'm using other parts of my brain. I've never done a TV show before, so it's new territory for me. If you're familiar with my work, I love new territory. But it wouldn't have mattered as much if y'all didn't say, yes, Damon, that's where you need to be. That's how you can serve us the best. During this pandemic era, you're not able to go on the road anymore. Let's connect on TV. This works for us. Y'all are giving me that signal. In a meta way, this show is actually becoming part of my passive income stream because as more of y'all come through, as more of you have subscribed, please do subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you're enjoying the show and you want to support it, you'll get a little notification whenever a new episode comes in. So thank you for the love and support. As more of y'all subscribe and check out the show, it becomes more of a passive income stream for me. But that's a meta version of what I'm talking about. I know one of my strengths is I can talk to you all day. Not a problem. And hopefully I'm listening to y'all as well as I'm talking, if not better. And so the episodes that I'm creating are based on feedback that you're actually giving. You guys are actually part of creating the show. But that's a strength of mine, hearing what people are saying and then being able to turn it around and create something better. That's why I've had like the best-selling books, the hit app that was #1 all around the world. That's my process. I talk and then I listen a lot and then I create something based on what I'm hearing. That's a strength of mine. Not everyone has that strength. You probably have a different strength. This will help you on that journey. And then once you find out what that strength is, then you can start to figure out how people can be served with it. Because again, if I was just talking to a computer or talking to a camera, and that was my main intention, then it being a passive income source, I might get lucky with it, but probably not. Instead, what lights you on fire? What gets you going? What is your strength? Again, Strengthfinder. How does it apply to the rest of the world? How can you serve other people with that? That's the first step towards creating passive income. A really good companion to this is an interview I did with Jonathan Fields. Shout out to you. Hope you're doing wonderful. He has a book called Sparked. Actually, it's right over my shoulder. You can see it right over there. I'm not even going to grab it. It's right there, right? The colorful book right next to Build From Now. In fact, it came out a few months after Build From Now, if I remember correctly. And he talks about, in this interview, he talks about the system that he created so that you can understand what your value is with what you're interested in and how you serve the world best. Fascinating stuff. That's a really good parallel or companion to talking about Strengthfinder. Strengthfinder is pretty old school. This one I think spark just came out over the past year. So check it out. I love Jonathan. I love his work, and I can listen to him talk all day. So it was one of the few episodes of the Bring Your Worth show where I was actually interviewing people, because usually I'm the one being interviewed and I'm sharing it to y'all. This was different. I was actually interviewing Jonathan. It was a fun episode to do. Again, shout out to Jonathan. Thank you for spending that time with me, and thank you for giving some good insight to the audience. All right. The next one is a whopper. I love it, love it, love it. Value-Based Fees by Alan Weiss. What you get is determined by what you negotiate. I don't know who said that. It could have been Alan Weiss, but someone said that. And I think about that all the time. It's not based on your value. It's not always based on your relationship. It's not based on your skill level. It's not based on even what you're giving. It's based on what you're able to share with the person who's making the decision, writing the check, buying or getting your services. I look at it as a partnership. Talk about that in Bring Your Worth. That's tenet number 3 on the back. Everything is a partnership. If you view everything as a partnership, then you realize that back and forth isn't a matter of someone winning, but instead both of you getting the worth that you deserve. You getting the worth, in some cases financially, that you deserve. And the other person or the organization getting the services that they need to get to the next level. In my case, it's business coaching, it's consulting, it's editorial, whether it's writing or other types of editorial work, and it's public speaking. Those are kind of my 4 areas. And every negotiation, every discussion, from me talking to the biggest newspapers and magazines in the world to me chatting with an upstart entrepreneur who has 2 little kids at home, who's trying to get their stuff off the ground, it's all the same. How am I showing up and how am I serving this other person? But for me to serve them effectively, I also need the resources to do that. I remember talking to a colleague many, many years ago, and they were insistent on doing their services for free, but they were also complaining that they were burning out and they weren't sure how they could sustain themselves. For me, and we had a tough conversation, they decided to go in a different direction, which sounds like you're doing all right now. So blessings to them. For me, I never want to have that discussion with a colleague or anybody else. And it's not from a place of shame at all. It's more from a place of whatever work I'm doing, whether it's the hourly work, which again, I do some hourly work, so there's nothing wrong with that, to the passive income that I create. Whatever I'm putting out there, if it's not actually sustaining me, then there's something off with the resources and the pricing of it. And it might be the audience I'm speaking with. It might be the time that I put into it versus what I'm getting paid for it. Or I've found that this is the most common thing. I'm afraid that if I charge what I actually need, that I'm not going to get any business. Alan's work gets to the heart of this. He's a generation or 2 older than me, so I'm guessing he's in his 80s. I've talked with him very briefly online when I did a column about him on Inc. magazine, and he actually corrected me on a couple of things, which is fantastic. He definitely has that kind of intense, clear personality where he's like, no, this is what I'm worth. This is what I'm about. Let's go. Right. And that's why I mentioned he's an older gentleman, because, you know, he's got a few decades on me, and I could see, I'm like, yeah, just like I might have more insight than the average teenager. Right. Because I've been in the game enough, and I'm like, no, this is what I'm about. Right. The show isn't about anything else but this, that clarity. He has that clarity. It comes through in this book. This book is probably about 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh. I keep doing years. Probably like 6 years old, 7 years old. No, actually older than that. Yeah, I got some stories behind this book. And for the sake of time, I'm going to skip that story because I can tell stories all day. I'm definitely in that mood. The short version of it is that this book is ridiculously expensive. This book, no matter which format you get it in, is going to be about $50 to $60. But wait, there's more. When I was in the situation I was in, I was negotiating something. I went and bought this book because I negotiated, and I'm positive I was able to at least 3 or 4x what I negotiated. And it was a big check. So it wasn't, excuse me, it wasn't me going, oh, I'm going to get $100. Let me try to get 400. It was like, no, this was a multiple. It was nice money. And obviously, that automatically paid for all that good stuff, right? Yes, absolutely. It is absolutely worth rereading. And in fact, now that I'm bringing it up on the show, and thank you for that suggestion, I will read it too. It is a fantastic book. It is relatively short, but it is dense, as we say in the publishing world. So I want to say the book is like probably the size of Bring Your Worth. It's pretty small. I have it on Kindle, but I needed that book right away. And sure enough, I think there might have been a sale. I think I might have paid $40 for it instead of 60. I got some type of discount, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was watching my money at the time too. And I was like, all right, if I'm negotiating this, I think it was 5-figure. If I'm negotiating this 5-figure deal and I'm paying $40 for this joint, am I going to get my money back? And I was like, even if I get like a little bit more, I'm going to get the money back. And, that's the nice thing about books. You own the books forever, ever, right? Went for it. Had a look back. Fantastic book. I recommend the book to a lot of my clients, my organizational clients, as well as strictly my independent clients like myself. If you're running on your own business and you're working with big organizations, you got to know how to negotiate. This pairs really well with one of my most popular episodes I've done this year. 3 reasons why you shouldn't sign a contract. It sounds cynical, but I keep 100% real in there. When you give your goods or your services, you're sometimes trading that time for money, but you're also giving the power of something you created, often from scratch. If you're a writer, if you're a public speaker, like those things didn't exist. Realize that, like you made that. It came from your head, fully formed like Athena, came out. And you're giving it to an organization or a person. If your contract's not right, they own that joint. You can't give it to somebody else. Sometimes you can't take credit for it anymore. And what they gave you, as I say nowadays, what they gave you was a bag. They give you some money. I was talking to a coaching client earlier this week, and I was saying that's the problem with looking at the money of it. Someone could give you, let's say, $10,000, but they own the rights to all the stuff that you've done and worked hard on for the past, let's say, year. You got the 10,000. Fantastic. 10,000 is a great amount of money. I'm not going to turn away $10,000. That said, that $10,000 is going to go away. And it could be to your house, your mortgage, it could be to your kids. It could slowly go away because of inflation, right? Whole other topic, but you know where I'm going. It could go away because you decide to do a down payment on a new car, a really fancy car, right? Haven't bought a car in a while, but I don't think 10,000 will buy a car nowadays, right? Eventually it's going to, your electric bill, your clothes, whatever, it's going to go away. Your intellectual property, though, we call it IP. Again, you'll learn more about that in this episode. That's forever unless you sign a bad contract or you sell it. I own the rights, Library of Congress, to all my books, including the bestsellers. That's in my family until I decide it's not in my family, or myself or other people in my family after I'm gone make decisions to either sell it or they sign a bad contract. That's how much power it is in the shit that we create. We need to recognize it. That's literally what the entire book, Bring Your Worth, was about. The little tiny book I just showed you, that's literally what this whole book is about. Bring Your Worth, and the TV show, Bring Your Worth, is about knowing what you're bringing to the table. If you don't know what you're bringing to the table, then you'd be like, yes, I need $1,000 right now. Been there, not judging you. But know what you're getting into. that $10,000 bag, back to the proverbial idea, that $10,000 bag that you get right now, eventually that money is going to be in your IRA. It's the end of the year, so thinking about IRAs. But in your IRA for your retirement account, it's going to be maybe investing into something. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But that money isn't stagnant. And in a lot of cases, it's going to be gone away in little bits and pieces of us just living our lives. The secret, though, is that we can always earn more money. If we're healthy, knock on hard wood, if we're healthy and we have a certain skill that has value in the marketplace, it has value to other people. There's ways we can make money. A hustler is always going to find a way to make money, right? I mean that in the best connotation possible. I'm a hustler myself. I always find a way. That's because I know my skills and I know how it applies to the market. In other words, if someone's offering you a nice bag, there's probably going to be other opportunities for people to offer you a nice bag too. That's why you just don't see a contract say, yes, the money looks nice, let me sign it. No. And there's 3 big reasons why I call them red flags for you to pause before you sign a contract. Please, out of this whole thing, watch this episode. The last part about it, which the next book I talk about, we will talk about that a little bit more. But if you sign a contract and you're giving all your rights away, your intellectual property, to an organization or someone else or whatever, it can't be your passive income anymore unless you negotiate that into your contract. So if you're on Shark Tank and Kevin O'Leary or Mark Cuban or one of those guys or gals says, I want to buy your company for $10,000. You're like, great, here you go. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's it. You might have been getting residuals, which is another word for passive income from it. That's done. But if they end up buying it for 10K and they're like, and for as long as the company's around, you'll get 6% of everything sold. That's passive income. Subtle stuff like that. I talked about that in this episode. Again, it's one of the most popular Bring Your Worth episodes. And in retrospect, I understand why, because a lot of us struggle with this when we get the opportunity to level up. We look at the money short term. We don't look at the long-term value of things. Again, that ties back into Alan Weiss's books. Pardon me. All right. So the next book, and I promise this isn't self-promotion. It actually is appropriate. Passive Writer by Damon Brown. Damon Brown and Jeanette Hurt, 5 Steps to Earning Money in Your Sleep. There's a little book that we did a few years ago now, 2018. And it's done really well because as a writer, as a creator, which is focused obviously on writers, you're going to create work out of thin air. You're going to come up with an idea and say, I think there's a group of people, large group of people who are side hustlers, solopreneurs. I think I'll call them non-traditional entrepreneurs who are doing cool shit, but they don't pattern match what everyone else looks like in Silicon Valley. And most of them aren't even in Silicon Valley. Oh, wait, that was my book, Dalton Bites as Entrepreneur. Literally how it happened, right? We do that every day as creators. And it could be you coming up with new products. Some of the people that I coach actually make things. And so they're trying to find ways to mass producing and stuff. Shout out to y'all. That is a tough route. Salute to y'all. Some of the folks that I work with are clothing makers. So they're like designers. So they're negotiating things and make sure that the yarn costs and all those different things, like it's complicated. But all those things come from our mind and from our creativity. If we're going to take this route and be professional creatives, we have to understand, number one, what we're giving away when we sign a contract. We're always giving something when we sign a contract. So what we're giving away, nothing wrong with that. You're giving something. That's why you're getting the money. What we're giving away. And secondly, what we're keeping and how we can create work and negotiate work that will sustain us even when we're not working. If I were to just depend on time versus money, time for money, where every piece of work that I did, there was an hour trade-off to it, then I couldn't be primary caregiver of my kids. Like I don't. Now they're a little bit older, but when they were younger, hell no. Like kids, I'll talk about my kids for a second. They take up It's almost like slime. They take up as much time, much space as they can. It's like water. Like, you ever try to put water in a corner? No, it spreads across. That's the way that kids are. I love my kids. I love kids in general. Kids are fantastic. If you want to be a parent, kids are great. If you don't want to be a parent, they're a little bit rough. If you want to be a parent, kids are great. And also, they will consume everything. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what they're supposed to do. I'm sure I was the same when I was a kid. I'm sure my mom, my dad, and my stepdad were the same when they were kids. That's just what kids do. I wouldn't have had that same role in the last umpteen years that my kids been growing up if I didn't create these passive income systems. In fact, that's actually the first chapter as far as creating systems so that you can build passive income. And so when I'm changing 2 sets of diapers when they were like 2 and a baby, 2 years old and a baby, and I'm changing 2 sets of diapers and going back and forth and all that stuff, I had money coming in. Ironically, one of them was this. I'm sorry, wrong book. One of them was this book. They were a little bit older, and those checks were coming in, and that allowed me and my wife to keep a roof over our head, keep the kids fed, and all those things. So it's not just a matter of I want to make money in my sleep, I want to become a millionaire, blah, blah, blah. Nothing wrong with that. It's also a matter of you being a creative and actually surviving and ideally thriving as a creative. It can't be a one-to-one relationship. It just can't, particularly nowadays. You got to create stuff that goes beyond that handles the test of time. And if you have stuff that handles the test of time well, then you should be compensated for it. That's what this book is all about. And probably next to the contract video, this will be the episode that you should absolutely watch. The contract video I just talked about, really, really important. This will be, if you can only watch one episode, this will be your second choice. Why is passive income important? Super simple. I went over a little bit of that in my rant that I just did, but it breaks down what passive income is, why it matters, and more importantly, why it should be an absolute priority for you as a creator. The last one is Tranquil by Tuesday by Laura Vanderkam. Shout out to Laura. Hope you're doing well. There's a new book from Laura Vanderkam. You might be familiar with her work. She's basically the time maven. She's able to help you maximize your time and reframe your view of time. And I think she would agree with me with my assessment of her work, where it's not a matter of finding more time. It drives me crazy when people say that. I'm sure it drives her extra crazy because this is her specialty. You can't really find more time. We got 24 hours. It's around noon. Looking for a clock. Yeah, it's around noon. What time is my show? It's around noon here in Las Vegas. In 12 hours, it's going to be midnight. Ain't nothing I can do about it. 24 hours from now, it's going to be lunchtime again. That's just the way it works. What she's really good at doing, though, is reframing how you view time, how you can maximize it, how you can make the best of it, and how you can get to where you need to go, even if it ends up being in incremental pieces. One of my favorite books from her, and actually a book that I have a couple quotes in, is Off the Clock. Feel less busy while getting more done. Is a few years old. I want to say it was about 6 years old because she actually interviewed me for the book while I was cradling my second son, and my second son is in soccer now. So it was a few years back. This is a favorite of mine too. Despite even I would say, despite me even being here, it's such a fantastic little book. But Tranquility by Tuesday, sorry, get it for your Amazon viewers. So now it's highlighted. Tranquility by Tuesday is her actually taking a look, basically taking you behind the scenes and saying, these are how people implemented these time strategies. So almost like with her being similar to me as far as being a coach, it's almost like a time management coach taking you behind the scenes and saying, this is how it changes people's lives. Her previous books, including Off the Clock, were more about talking to people. And again, I was honored to be one of the people quoted who had figured out how to manage their time effectively and be productive in a certain way where they didn't burn themselves out. Sounds familiar, right? That's one of the reasons why Laura and I connected. Her new book feels a little bit different because she's actually taking so-called people who are normal or people who are struggling with their time challenges and saying, hey, come with me. Let's go ahead and get y'all right in the process of doing that. So I think there's almost like a level of realism and terra firma, like a concreteness about it, because I think the strategies that she's going towards with this book are probably even more applicable than our previous books. So her book just came out. I'm just getting to it now, but her work is really fascinating. She also has a TED Talk too. She spoke at TED Women down in New Orleans. I'd already moved from New Orleans, so unfortunately, I didn't catch the talk. But it's one of the most popular TEDx talks that I think is on the channel. So be sure to check out that too. Just do a Google search for Laura Vanderkam, and you'll find all the good stuff. What's applicable to this? Applicable. So need to work on my words today. Episode I did a year and a half ago. So weird to say that. How to organize your life right now. And it's so important to figure out what your priorities are going to be. This episode, it's one of the old school episodes that's gotten really popular in recent months. I talk about a simple principle that you can apply to figure out what your priorities are. It's super simple. All I do is talk about the principle. I want to say the episode is like 5 minutes long. And a lot of y'all have really gotten into it. If you haven't watched it, be sure and watch it. With the people that I coach, and even with myself, I have a lot of stuff I'm trying to figure out this week, just because it's the end of the year. Now, I'll be doing some work for the next few weeks as we wrap up the year, but I know a lot of people are going to be off. So there's things that I need to get done now because I need other people's responses to it, or they need that to wrap up their year. So I've even been using this technique and saying, okay, what's my priority? Where am I going? And so forth. The thing with passive income, this will be my final thought on this, is that it shouldn't be something that's hard. Whatever you're doing, whether it's a product or a service, excuse me, it shouldn't be so much of a stretch where it becomes a burden. Now, writing a book is hard, very hard. I've done it 26 times, but it's never a burden for me, ever. And so those passive income streams from those 26 or so books, they're not a burden. There's not a heaviness to them. Your passive income, going all the way back to the top, remember, it's based on your particular skill set and how it can serve other people. If it's serving other people will gobble it up. That's kind of the way it works. It's not more complicated than that. You figure out what your good shit is, people recognize, yes, I want that good shit. That's it. The reframing comes in. What in your skill set can you create that people will still value over time? And for me, it's books, it's public speaking. I'm doing the public speaking, but when I do a keynote, one of the things in the contract or one of the things negotiated is that I get a recording of the keynote. It could be a video, it could be audio, which is more common, because the venues are all different, all those things. And then I'm able to share that keynote with y'all, whether it's in one of my audiobooks. All my audiobooks have, almost all of them have bonus keynotes that are related to it. So it's just extra hour, 2 hours of content on top of the 10-hour audiobook or whatever it is. You guys, if it's video, y'all, most of my keynotes are actually available on this show at youtube.com/BrownDamon. You can subscribe for free. Definitely subscribe if you're feeling the content and you want to support. That becomes part of my passive income strategy. So as they say, I got the bag for the keynote. Thank you. Thank you very much. But then that keynote that's recorded becomes passive income through the audiobooks, which I get royalties from. And it becomes content for this show that you guys enjoy, which I also get passive income from. So I do that keynote once, work my behind off for it, but then I'm getting paid for it over and over again. And in some cases, the bag that I got from the actual keynote pales compared to the money that I got from the passive income streams over the years from that same keynote I did for that organization or that group. That's the way that you have to start to strategize things if you want to make money, solid money as a creator, particularly if you don't want to do the time traded for money. Organizing your life matters because I knew even before my kids were born, when my wife and I were even talking about having kids, I know that as soon as my kids come, they're going to be the main priority. And it's not going to be traveling. It's not going to be my career. It's not going to be all this, partying with my friends. I love partying with my friends. None of that. They were going to be overshadowed by that. Luckily, I knew myself well enough, way back to the Strengthfinder, I knew myself well enough to know that I'd be dedicated to my role as being a parent. And in a relationship that I have with my wife, I wanted to be the primary caregiver. That's what a primary caregiver does, in my opinion. Knowing that, I knew eventually I had to set up things that allow revenue to come in so I can help take care of my family and keep my career on track because my kids will not always be little. So it's like, how am I going to make sure that my career is sharp for those 18 years, maybe more, for those 18 years that it takes to get those kids to where they need to be? Passive income was part of that discussion. As soon as my second kid came, passive income became the priority. And there's some lean moments, I would even say years, leading up to where I am now. But now I'm getting to the point where, again, I have 52 passive income streams. So with all those different streams, suddenly the basement, the minimum pay that's coming in is a lot higher than it was when I was just dependent on the time being traded for money. That's why you have to organize your life in a certain way, because when you organize your life and understand what your priority is, you could have kids and your priority could be your career. No judgment from me, whatever. But you have to know that. Because if you know that, then you can design passive income and other strategies I talk about on the show all the time based on where you are. For me, I want to hang out with my kids as much as possible, even when they sometimes don't want me to. Passive income is not an option for me. It is a necessity. It has to happen. It's important for you to know all your different options, though, so you can create the best life that you can create. Right? So we're talking about passive income for beginners 2023. I think this is going to be the last live show, at least for this year. So blessings to y'all. Whatever you're celebrating, I got family that's celebrating like 6 different things. So whatever holiday, whatever part of the world you're celebrating, hope you have safe celebrations. If you missed part of this program, or if you missed part of this program, or if you want to catch up on the 2 most recent lives that talked about the most profit, maximizing profit in 2023, and how to build your business 2023. This one about passive income is the last of the trifecta to end the year. You can watch all of them for free at youtube.com/that thing down there, which is the playlist. YouTube does that. There's nothing I can do about that. But I hope you enjoy the programming. I hope it gets you to the next level. And again, the new book is Career Remix. I got so many books out today. Career Remix, get the gig you want based on the skills you've got. Much love to all of y'all. Have a wonderful holiday season and a good break and all that good stuff. And remember that you can always bring your worth and that you can always build from now. Take care, and I'll see you guys next year.